You know, in times of trouble, like right now, it seems like there's so much going on in the world. It's hard to know how to be resilient, right? I mean, if you have just been through one of the hurricanes, if you have been through the fires, it doesn't matter what you've been through. We need to find more ways to be resilient. And so today I want to talk about creating a sense of resiliency. You know, we talk about this in terms of kids needing to be resilient as they move through life and have failures and setbacks or maybe get bullied or bad things happen. But any of us at any time can actually develop resilience. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. 5 different ways of creating more resilience in your life. Now, why is it important to have resilience? Because shit happens in life, right? You're moving through, something happens, whether it's a divorce, whether it's a weather disaster, it doesn't really matter what happens. It's your reality. And when stuff happens, we have to find ways to work with it. Otherwise, we get mired in sadness or depression, we withdraw from others, and we become psychologically unhealthy. That's what I want to help you work around. So the first thing that I want to suggest you do here is you have to perceive and you have to believe. Now, what the heck does that mean? So many of us, when we get into some sort of bad situation, we want to hold on to our denial. We want to believe it's not that bad. If we can just hold on to that idea in our head, the irrational thinking goes, it's not that bad. It'll be over fast. This doesn't really matter. Maybe I'm making more of it than I should. Okay, you can see how all of those things take us away from what's actually going on. So if you can face your difficulties as soon as possible, if you can accept the reality of what has actually happened, it makes a difference. Now, why does it make a difference? You've probably heard about the different stages of grief. Well, you can't move through those stages if you're holding on to this idea that it's not that bad. If you're holding on to the idea that it doesn't matter, it'll be okay, then you're not able to move on through those stages. And moving through those stages is what helps us be resilient. If you know you're in trouble, you can do something about it, right? Something's happened, something's coming your way. If you can face up to it, then you can do something about it. Few things are completely out of our control. Now, you can't control a hurricane coming towards you, but you can control having your supplies. You can control whether or not you go to a shelter. There are some things that are within your control. The next thing you need to do, this is a hard one, manage your emotions. You have to manage your emotions. When we get overreactive to things, we're no longer thinking straight. We're not making our best decisions. And when we're not making our best decisions, chances are you're making a bad decision. So manage your emotions by using your head. Now, what does that mean? It means I want you to use your intellect. I want you to stop, slow down, take some deep inhalations. Just take in a couple of slow, deep breaths. Now, what this does is, you know, your lungs and your heart, they work in tandem together. You can't automatically slow your heart rate. You can, however, slow your breathing down, which in turn slows your heart rate. And when we have oxygen going into our brain, then we're going to be able to think more clearly. So you've probably seen, or maybe you are one of those people sometimes, that something happens and, Chicken Little, the sky is falling down. Those people are not helpful in bad situations, are they? So use your head. Think. Slow down. Take some deep breaths. And think. Use your head. Don't let your emotions rule you here. Sometimes you just need to quit. What? What am I saying? Become a quitter? Yeah, become a quitter. Sometimes you do have to quit. And this is part of resilience. Like if you're at a job and you're hearing about layoffs and now there's going to be another wave of layoffs, resilient people will sometimes just go ahead and get another job and quit because they don't need that stress of not knowing whether or not they're going to be laid off. You should also quit if you have been working at something that really is unattainable. So maybe you're never going to be an Olympic swimmer. It's okay to keep swimming, but maybe you just drop that goal because now that you're closer to 40, you're probably not going to make it. Sometimes resiliency means that we look at our situation realistically and make decisions based on the idea of, is this really attainable or not? Or do I just need to quit this because it's causing me a lot of stress? Research shows that people who quit stressful situations actually wind up being happier in the long run because they're no longer having to put themselves through this stressful situation over and over again. Now, how do you always know when to quit? That's a good question. Knowing when to quit means you dread it every day. You can't find anything positive about it. And it's really causing you emotional distress. Now, in the case, maybe this is your job we're talking about. It's hard to quit a job if you don't have another job or if you don't have other savings built up, right? So that can be really stressful. The positive here is if you're that distressed, you're going to make time to find another job. So quitting here means making the most of your situation, but also trying to find out, when do I cut my losses? When do I walk away? Sometimes that's a relationship. If that relationship is not bringing you joy, if you have tried to work on it, if you have set boundaries and they're not being respected, sometimes it's time to quit a relationship. Not easy. Definitely not easy. But sometimes our self-respect demands that we quit certain things. Sometimes it demands we quit certain people and certain relationships. If you have put out there repeatedly a request to have something respected, a boundary respected perhaps, and that person refuses, that person is telling you very clearly that your desires don't mean anything to them. So think about that. Prepare. Oh God, if you've just been through recent hurricanes, you probably know a lot about preparation and you probably know a lot about stress. The thing about preparation is it does give us a sense of control. Even if it's too late this time, learn from your situation. See if there are areas where you could have been better prepared. Now, preparing is also something that we just need to do in life because bad things are going to happen. And how we respond to those is really what determines the outcome in many cases. You know, I've used the example of, you go into work and you're in a bad mood and everything that somebody says to you seems to be an attack on you. You go into work and you're in a good mood and somebody says something like that, you don't even notice or you brush it off. So it's really about how we're controlling our mindset here. So preparing means looking at your situation realistically and trying to figure out what the best course of action is. Just like if you're going to quit your job, what's the best course of action? Do I need to have another job lined up? Can I even find the time to find another job while I'm still working? So looking at your situation means taking into account all of these things. You know, the reality is that work really has a way of calming us, particularly in the wake of trauma. In the wake of trauma, the worst thing that you can do is not do anything. It gives your mind too much time to replay traumatic events. Now, with the help of a therapist, you do need to work through your trauma, but not on a moment-to-moment basis. So, work is the best thing that you can do. If you are in a situation now where you can volunteer, do it. Now, why am I saying that? Maybe you're cleaning up your own mess, but the reality is, in times of trouble, We all need to feel connected. And becoming a caregiver is the best thing that you can do for yourself because it gives a sense of meaning. How cool is that? And don't be afraid to ask for help either. Preparations sometimes go awry and sometimes we need help. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed if you need help. Reach out. Connection is so important. It's so hard when you're feeling distressed or depressed or feeling like things are never going to be the same again. Connection is what reminds us we have meaning in our life. So get help and give help. These are so important. You know, I talk to a lot of people and sometimes their sense of loneliness or isolation is huge. If you could connect with others, whether it's through volunteer work, reading to the blind, going to the animal shelter and petting the dogs, things like that, they restore a sense of our own humanity to us. So, I'm going to tell you again what these things are that you can do to rebuild your resilience. Perceive it and believe it, okay? Get out of your denial and start looking at what's actually happening. Manage your emotions. Don't get overreactive. Yes, strong emotions are going to come up, but if you let those strong emotions rule what's going on, you're going to make some bad choices. We don't want that. There's a time and a place to let yourself go and really feel what you're feeling, but it's not necessarily what you need to be doing as you're working on building your resilience. If you're in a situation that's not working for you and you've thought about it, quit. If it's causing you stress and distress, quit. But be mindful about it. Use your head. Make preparations. You know, a lot of people escaped greater damage because of good preparation around the hurricanes I'm referring to right now, which is incredible. Preparation. Make sure you prepare for whatever. I mean, you may not be in a hurricane's path, but you may be in the path of a tornado. Who knows? We just need to be prepared. What would I do if? And here's something that I don't actually like to tell people very much, but you know, worrying usually means that we live a little bit longer because we prepare. If we're sitting around wondering what's going to happen when, we generally prepare better. And lastly, connect, get help, give help. Give a helping hand to others, be connected, create more meaning in your life as well as doing for others. This is Dr. Dreama. We have been talking about resilience. I want to hear from you. Send me an email, Dreama, D-R-E-M-A, dreama@dreamadial.com. Can't wait to hear from you. This is Dr. Dreama with Designing Your Dream Life.